And then of course the guy's like a sex offender, and he's like, look, BOP doesn't give a shit about a sex offender getting beat to death. So the guys might think he might be thinking, we probably won't kill me. Yeah, but you're gonna lose an eye if I start hitting you with a fucking lock. You're asleep and I start hitting you with a lock. You're gonna lose an eye and you're gonna get shipped, and I'm gonna break your nose. And I mean, it's vicious. And you know what's really funny is like, you have guys that are like owners of banks being told what to do by crackheads. So you got some little crackhead who comes up. He's like, listen, I noticed the other day you had your Coke on the next to the computer, and you're not allowed to have that. And it's the second time, and if I have to address you again, then I'm going to address you in the morning meeting. I'm going to pull you up, and you're like, I'm a fucking CEO of a bank. I cheated on my taxes. You've got a prison GED. What the fuck is how did I get here? How is this guy telling me how to live my life?
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
Hilarious. Hilarious. So everybody that's read the book is like,
that's gotta just morally fucking crush.
Oh yeah. Oh, listen, you can imagine my ego being told, having some fucking guy come up to me and say, Cox, can I talk to you? I'm like, yeah, what's up? And they're like, listen, bro, I noticed the other day your bed, you didn't do the hospital corner. And you're supposed to do that. I'm like, what? Are you joking? And they're like, no, I know it sounds funny, but I mean, I'm just bringing it to your attention. And there's certain key words like, do you have a minute? Which is basically they're saying they're going to confront level you. Like, I want to discuss. So that's the first step. You have to confront level someone. If they don't correct the behavior, you get to pull them up. Well, you have to pull people up to graduate the program. So they're always looking.
So everybody's on edge.
They're always looking for something. Danny, I noticed that your shirt isn't exactly, it's not been ironed recently. And, here in RDAP, we hold ourselves to a higher standard. I just want to bring it to your attention. And right then.
That does not teach you how to be normal.
No, listen, it's a completely fucked up program. Let me tell you one thing. I got one for you. One time a guy is talking to this chick. He's been talking to her for like a year or so. He's telling her, I'm getting out. I got no money. He convinces her to send him money. So when I get out, I have money. I got a couple grand, $3,000 on my books. So when I get out, I'll have $3,000. And he's been getting her to send him money. Well, the drug treatment specialists start listening to his phone calls, and they hear him telling her that. And they come to bring her in well, what are you doing? Well, I mean, I need money and this and that. Yeah, but don't you have a girlfriend? Well, I mean, yeah, I got a girlfriend. Well, you're not being honest. Honesty is the key to to change. It's the foundation. So you got to send that money back.
Oh no.
Huh? Yeah. The $3,000. Yeah. Send the money back. Oh, they'll have guys write a letter home to their family, and they have their family write a letter back that they then read. And the letter is, how did your loved one hurt your family, hurt you? How did his drug and alcohol or in criminal behavior harm you? So you got guys that are getting letters, and then they're reading it in group therapy sessions. And if your mom writes a letter about what your crimes have done to her and how she feels about you, she's never told you this.
Yeah.
And it's read in front of the 20 guys that are in your group therapy.
Oh, that's
You've
crazy.
got guys, gangsters, crying like small fucking children, weeping because mom just told everybody how you've embarrassed them, how you're just a scumbag, how they're humiliated by your behavior. You got guys that are just there's a lot of stuff they do that will fuck you up, and some guys are irrevocably changed by that program, and some guys are just faking their way through it. But the book, everybody that's read the book is like, bro, it's fucking amazing. They're like, I'm laughing 1 minute, and then when this happened, bro, I was in fucking tears. So bro, the doctor that runs the program there, her name's Dr. Smith. Bro, she, for some reason, the second time I went in, she like took interest in me. She starts bringing me in all the time, asking about my son, my ex-wife, my mom, my dad.
You have a son?
Yeah, bro, listen. It got so bad, I was like Pavlov's dog. Walking to the office, I start tearing up because I know, fuck, she's going to ask this. Mm-hmm. She's going to talk about this. There are certain things like, I'm like a complete sociopath on certain aspects, and there's maybe 3-4 things you could ask me about that I'll immediately start crying like a fucking child.
Is your son one of them?
my son would be one of them, which we're not going to talk about.
We've never talked about that in the podcast.
We're not going to talk about it. I assure you, we're not going to talk about it. It's fucking horrible.
Maybe that means that is.
Yeah.
We should.
No, listen.
I think we should.
Listen, I will beat you to death with this heavy fucking thing right here, and damn the consequences.
My 2 friends will definitely help me.
I'm definitely not doing anything. I'm working the chat.
He's busy. He's not in a position to help anybody.
I can't help you too much.
He'll be stumbling as we're.
That's all right. I might be able to take you, Matt.
I probably. I don't know. I've gotten pretty good.
That's a fair fight.
No, I'm just joking.
I'd pay to see it.
Yeah. Who else would pay
going
to see it? Who's gonna drop some money in the chat to see that happen?
Nice.
Me and Matt will wrestle right here on top of this table for the right price.
Yeah. And depending on how much it gets, depends on how nasty it gets. Know what I'm talking about.
Nah, man.
So what else? What are we doing? What's going on? What happened?
Well, that's actually what you were talking about is really interesting, like that program to help heal people.
The
and
crab's
do
here.
that.
The
crab's here.
The crab's here.
Want me to go on?
Go to the crab.
Please,
Because you
thank
can get like that criminal sociopath brain. You're able to fake your way through anything. So how can they like call you out on you like upholding your truth and not just being a complete sociopath criminal and saying what you need to get through it?
How? I mean, here's the problem is that here's why I think, and a lot of people go through the program and they know he's faked. Dr. Smith, keep in mind, she's seen 1,000 Matt Coxes. She's seen 2,000 this guy, 5,000. She immediately, as soon as you walk in, she's categorizing. He's got this personality type. He's got this. He's got this. As you're sitting there, you sit down as she's talking to you. She can sit there and go, okay, so one of your parents has an alcohol problem. Is that right? And you're like, the fuck do you know that?
How'd you know that?
Never had a conversation with you. But within 3 or 4 minutes, she's already. Listen, I remember I used to say I feel horrible for her husband or her ex-husband because he's never won an argument.
Yeah,
Guarantee you can't win an argument with this chick.
Because she could just like stare at you. And
Oh my God, twist this, twist that. One of those. I would walk in there and immediately I felt like the room was closing in. The only time I've ever had a conversation with someone, the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, how can I get out of the room? How can I get out of the room? How can I get out of the room?
Even before you're in the room, like you were talking
right,
about, just walking
that's what I'm
to
saying.
the room, like she's just in your head that much to where you know the things that she's gonna ask you.
Right. So she would, and there will be people graduating the program, and she'll know he faked his way through the program. He didn't really but he did everything he was supposed to do. He went through the things. I can't really change that. He's going to get the year off, and he's going to move forward. And there are other guys that she knows this guy has irrevocably been changed, and I think he's a better person as a result of the program. And listen, honestly, that type of a program should be done throughout the BOP, like to knock off times, because guys are genuinely trying to learn the material. It's the first time you can see guys that they're really trying. Some of them are like, oh, I'm faking it. Yeah, you're faking it, bro. But I seen you crying like a baby in the morning meeting the other day.
Because those are real tears.
Right. So you can sit here and tell all your gangster buddies you're faking it. But the truth is, when they read that letter from your mom or your grandmother, you weren't faking it. So you can tell they do change. Some people do change. And maybe they change temporarily, but I think it's a good way to help retrain how people think. And criminals, there are programs, but the programs are pretty much a joke. And you can't really expect these guys to go out of their way and try and change when they don't think they have an issue. But if you gave them an incentive, you said, look, you pass this 9-month program and you get a year off, they're going to try. It's going to lower recidivism for sure. But you know, it's a limited program, but they ought to do it across the board. Like they ought to say, you get 20% off your sentence if you pass this program and do like, oh man, you'd really see some changes.
I think stuff like that is super important too, because you know you reach a certain point in that sort of pattern in thinking to where you don't even recognize the way that you're thinking like that anymore, and then it just like brings attention to it.
Well, that's the whole thing.
Helps you get over it.
In that 9 months, that when they teach you to do these certain things, you have to take workshops and all kinds of stuff. You have to go through RSAs and what's the other thing is God, there's 2 different types. I forget the other one. Actually in the book, I have my they're not RSAs, they're attitude checks. I have attitude checks throughout the book. So you actually get to read my attitude checks.
So what's
not
an example
all
of
them.
an attitude check?
It's like, today I was in the chow hall and the guys were standing in front of me. They were screaming and hollering and being disrespectful, but you can't get away from them.
Right.
They're screaming and hollering, and all I could think about was hitting one of these guys in the head with a baseball bat. And so you're sitting there thinking, it was everything I could do to tell them to shut the fuck up, and and then you go attitude check. You said, what attitude was I struggling with? And you go to humility, and then you say, I had to tell myself that they weren't raised in the same type of environment, and to them they didn't realize that what they were doing was being rude. You say, what attitude was I displaying? And then you say whatever it was, humility or giving or forget. I don't know what the fucking attitudes are. And then you say, if I continue this behavior or practicing these types of self talk or whatever, then I'll be able to deal with these complete jerk offs that scream and holler and spit in people's faces. You kind of talk your way through it instead of being like, hey bro, you want to keep your fucking mouth, you want to be disrespectful, well you got to be next thing you know you're in a confrontation.
Right. It's a way of processing these emotions that you're not used to processing, other than dealing with it just like raw rage.
Right. And here's the thing is that it's funny because some of the guys that have the hardest time are guys that, like, the smarter guys that have smarter crimes that you would think would sail through. They do sail through. They sail through the first, second, third phase, and by like the fourth phase, or is it the third phase, I forget, just before you graduate, when they really expect you to show some emotional changes, that's when they tear guys like I don't know that I would have graduated the program, because that last phase, they destroy me.
Because that's where they really call you out and get you raw.
Right. That's where, and so graduating the program, I probably could have, maybe I could have graduated. It would have been hell. It would have been me in tears for 2-3 months straight. I can't deal. I'd rather do the year.
Yeah.
I'll do the extra year.
That's emotionally taxing too, especially if you've never felt those emotions for that long. Like a year of just staying within yourself rather than a couple of months of sharing with everybody. That year sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
But your crab's here, and that sounds pretty good too.